Hello, everybody, and welcome to SOS number, I believe, 214. I'm Sasu here with Carney, and we're getting right into it in terms of groups. Smart Fellas versus pjackk challenge, finally out of open. They're here to play SOS and get going, hopefully, to get into that top bracket. But before we get into that, how are you doing, Carney?
A well-deserved break from gaming to do SOS tonight with you, Sasu. It's always a pleasure to be your co-commentator. It's been a while since I've been on the mic, so I just want to apologize to everybody watching this stream in advance if I am a little goofy and kind of mess things up. You need to be niceies to me. I just survived foliage season in Vermont. Okay?
Yeah. Listen, we're just so happy to have you back on the mic, Carney. I'm happy to be your co-commentator tonight for sure. It's been so long, and I know that Citrine, right?
Yes.
Is also probably like cheering you on as well. But I think ultimately we're gonna have a great time looking at both of these teams and seeing how they're gonna do on Mako Mart zones.
Mako Mart zones, one of, dare I say, the classic zones maps for the tournament scene nowadays, followed by Museum de Alfonsino. I believe it is tower control. And following that up, perhaps with, if you know it, I'm going to say it, my favorite map mode combination of all time. Let's give it up for Mahi Mahi zones.
Mahi Mahi zones now. This ain't a regular SOS, or rather it is, but you might be used to that play all three. Of course, it is going to be best of 3 instead, but we're getting right into it. Taking a look at these loadouts. Very interesting comp out of pjackk Challenge. Of course, you have this golden dynamo. You have no cooler, Explo. Just a lot happening, and as you can see, a lot has happened with 2 people going down on either side.
Yeah, the volatile play in the zone is happening now. As we can see, both of these teams are trying to get control of their stacks. That back and forth matchup that you normally see at the very beginning of Mako zones with pjackk Challenge, a little bit, I'd say, in the advantage here. They do gain control of the zone, and smart fellas are not really in the mindset nor the area to take control of that pain, and that gold dynamo on that stack is an absolute menace, but not for long as that Trizuka comes out and pushes it right off.
Yeah, not to mention you have these missiles, of course, displacing Curse, forcing them to drop on that bottom right, giving the zone to smart fellas. Ultimately, one of them goes down. That's going to be the shot that we saw coming out with those Zukas earlier on. But it seems as though they weren't able to really get a steady hold there. There's Cursed really interestingly doing those vertical swings, but we saw that they were able to get a pick with it, so it's working out for them. Those chumps come out as well to put a little bit of pressure. Jollybird just sort of ledging there, waiting to see if they can get that pick on Curse. Not quite going to happen in this 1v1 happening here. 3 of the members down for pjackk Challenge, so it looks as though that hold way over, and smart fellas likely going to be taking the lead here.
Absolutely, and we can see Jollybird here trying to threaten that flush, not really getting much of anywhere here as pjackk Challenge is already back into the zone. With smart fellas losing control, pjackk Challenge ends up getting 2 down, and the zone is still in the yellow favor as that triple splashdown goes down. Not really doing much here, but smart fellas managed to take control of the zone, as we can see here, and they're not ready for the penalty points yet.
Yeah, you see just how quickly they've just gone through all of those points. They're already at 20. Jollybird getting this Zuka shot. All of these chumps happening in the zone. They just shoot them down like no issue. We're in those single digits, and despite that hammer, it is going to be just beamed down with a very decisive win here for smart fellas. It seems as though they've done a really strong job outsmarting pjackk Challenge, and I have to wonder if after a decisive game like this, we maybe see more conventional comps out of pjackk Challenge.
I'm kind of wondering the same thing, honestly, though that gold dynamo was really holding its own there on that stack for a while. It was unfortunately pushed off and just kind of shoved away for what it's worth. And we are going to be moving on to actually Museum Clam Blitz. We made a mistake in the little diagram there, in the little display. We're clamming it up in Clamtown next, but like you said, excited to see maybe a comp change, perhaps. If not, then I'm excited to see that gold dynamo coming back, because I really do love the dynamo players. Shout out to anybody who plays dynamo and like is actually good at it, because I tried it and oh god, it's so slow. I don't understand how it works. Might be why I lose to the dynamo 90% of the time that I play against it, but we don't go there.
Yeah, I think it takes a special type of player to be able to play Dynamo, but I will also mention that I wouldn't be surprised if pjackk Challenge, what they were running, was very stage and mode specific. You do have that Dynamo, which is extremely threatening on a place like Mako Mart, where you can just have this huge wave of ink, making it so it displaces anyone who's standing on a stack. Of course, you have that paintbrush, really good AoE, and I wouldn't be surprised if they instead came to this next stage and mode with a comp that is more useful on a clam blitz. Like, I think, for example, special-wise, we might be seeing a crab, because crabbing on that center spinner can be so powerful when your team is trying to push towards that basket, or something to that extent. I think Museum del Foncino, really good stage for chargers as well. So perhaps this is what pjackk Challenge just runs in terms of all of the players, but we'll see if we have some changes that are just more specific to the fact that we will be changing over to clams.
I hope we see a crab. I love playing crab on Museum de Alfonsino because, like you said, really you can just kind of park it anywhere and have it be useful as long as it's shooting in the opposite direction of your basket. But stuff to watch out for. We can see here that we have swapped from the gold dynamo to the vanilla, which means that we are getting some sodas up in here on both sides. We've got the missiles, we've got the octobrush, I believe. Which one is that? I don't even remember the name.
You don't have to worry about it, because you see Smart Fellas immediately got wiped off of the top. You have Curse with this jump in. They are going to ultimately get that in, but you know, ultimately a wipeout is going to be traded back here, and it may be to the disadvantage of pjackk Challenge, because Smart Fellas, you see, they've already moved up into mid. They're trying to capture that ramp. Two of the members are down for pjackk Challenge, and of course, we always say in competitive Splatoon that you want to get past that 60-point mark so that you can sort of make it worth your while to this push, and ultimately the lead does switch over. I have to wonder if one of those power clams were just the ones that they were given due to being scored on, and you have this jump in from my guy RB, and ultimately they do go down. So clearly pjackk Challenge made a bit of a mistake with that really small push, but maybe not so much that they were able to score on their own basket with it.
Yeah, and they do end up having a clam almost immediately on the brush, of course. As Smart Fellas does end up going 2 down, they need to push back onto their spinner area to prevent any funny jumps like we saw some of the members of pjackk Challenge doing. But there is only that dynamo with the power clam in mid, surrounded by plenty of members of Smart Fellas. So Smart Fellas is at the advantage here despite the clam disparity. We can see the special economy is in their favor, basically almost fourfold now, as we see they're threatening the ramp, building up those clams. They are really going for the kill, and with a nice direct on that Trizuka, Jollybird has a solid hold on that spinner.
Yes, and you see they just kind of jump back to their plat defensively here. That is going to be a splashdown, I believe, out of that Explosher as they further try to move up, but it seems as though pjackk Challenge has a really good hold on this ledge. Of course, you have the big ledger itself. That is going to be the dynamo in Curse. Just one clam shy of having that power clam, does finally get it, but it seems as though there's just a skirmish happening on that ramp, making it difficult ultimately for pjackk Challenge to sort of dive and get that push in as much as they'd want. So Smart Fellas did a really good job of just containing that threat, not allowing them more points on the board, and you see we are past the halfway point. So having all of these players, all of these members of Smart Fellas just hanging out on your plat is disastrous when the other team already is at around half your score.
Absolutely. And while Smart Fellas does end up going a 3 down in the moment now, they got the barrier open, and that is enough. they got a little bit of those points downwards. But now pjackk Challenge coming in with not only the funny jump from Curse, but also with a power clam and basically a half. They do end up breaking the barrier, but it is not enough points to get that lead back from Smart Fellas, as they do end up going 3 down, giving Smart Fellas the advantage here on their defense. They've got a pity clam in their back pocket, as well as a couple of clans here and there. They are just really holding on to their ramp, and they don't need to do much but that, because they do have a pretty sizable lead disparity, especially on a map mode such as Museum de Alfonsino, because it is a little hard to score points sometimes on this map.
Yes, you have just about 2 entry points, but the issue is if you have a team really diligently watching both of those, it can just be so difficult to push in here. And right now, the pressure is going to be on pjackk Challenge Wyvern getting that cooler for their team, getting ready for this push, because it seems as though we saw them working defensively, but despite the fact that there are just 30 seconds left and they're down to 42, they are playing for keeps, trying to get that basket open so that they can just end it, not trigger any sort of OT. But 2 members going to go down on either side. You have my guy, RB, on that left, checking for anyone. It is going to be Zaire in a 1v1, ultimately ending in a trade here. So it's just 14 seconds. And honestly, this isn't necessarily an insurmountable sort of push happening here, especially because the Dynamo currently has this power clam as well as a cooler, but they are too late. And in the meantime, one of the members of Smart Fellas was able to outsmart them and sneak to their basket, busting it open and ending the set in a 2-0.
And honestly, that is exactly what you want to do. You do not want to give the opposing team an overtime win, especially like even in the early matches of these groups stages. It was just Smart Fellas got the advantage early on, held it as much as they could, and really they did shut down quite a few pushes that pjackk Challenge were trying to do on that map, especially with Curse just being an absolute menace on the funny box, on the jump, trying to get that clam into that basket, but dropping it immediately after, surrounded by the members of Smart Fellas. You hate to see it, but unfortunately, like you said, they were outsmarted.
Yes, so like we said, that is going to be the 2-0. Unfortunately for you, Carney, you don't get to see that Splat Zone's Mahi Mahi Resort. I know you were looking forward to the Smart Fellas.
Always.
Were just too smart. So pjackk Challenge, of course, they have 2 other matches in their group. So we wish them all the luck, and we will be back after a short break with round 2 of groups.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to SOS. We are bringing you round 2 of the group stages coming at you live now. ChudForce versus Gelato Gems. And what an insane couple of first matches that we had during that first group stage. We're about to bring you even more insanity with a really great name and a really great name. Really greatly named teams here, guys.
Yes, but I will say they're on, I was going to say a not so great map mode, but I'm realizing, as you can see, it is going to be zones ship shape, but you know, there are worse. Yes, it could be tower ship shape. So both of these teams should count their lucky stars that is where they're going to be, but at the same time, you know, we can't count out maybe a leader or an oppressive sort of charger on a place like Ship Shape. So it's going to be really exciting seeing ChudForce go up against Gelato Gems, especially because, you know, I believe one of these teams is maybe our 20th seed versus our 44th seed, but
oh no,
you never know. You never know how these things are going to end until you actually see them.
That is true. And like you said, I feel like Ship Shape Zones is like, it's an okay map mode. It's not my favorite. I
want to know
but
who's
I'm also
favorite.
Biased.
Who's like, this is the map mode. Like, I'm sure
if anybody out there on Twitch has this as their favorite map mode, or like anybody in the Splatoon community, I want to know.
Sound off. Go on to Blue. We both have Blue Skies. I think if you go on to IPL, you will see us being gag. Oh, tag me. I thought you said gag me.
No,
like,
do not gag me.
I will indeed be gagged if this is your favorite map mode. So just like let us know, but we're jumping straight into it. We're gonna take a look at these map modes. Not these map modes, these loadouts, my mistake. And what I am noticing is that we have a Dreadringer here, of course, with that Reef Slider, going to be able to almost exactly cap over that zone. So ultimately, I think the name of the game is going to be making sure that that Reef Slider stays down and isn't able to give them a lot of trouble.
Absolutely. We could see that Howl on those vanilla dualies is doing a lot of work. They did get rid of that aforementioned Dreadringer, preventing the Reef Slider from coming out for just a little bit longer, but ChudForce is now in control of the zone. After Gelato Gem's first little stint there, we see that brush just cleaning up on that bridge area as that crab gets popped out. Gelato Gem's 3 down as ChudForce takes the lead. The crabs are out and the zippers are coming for that spawn.
Yes, but, you know, I think there's just, like, a lot of chaos. You see that Dreadringer, I think, bringing up that left end. Of course, it does have its Reef Slider ready. Those are going to be the strikes coming out as well. And just, like, a lot of chaos. Ultimately, there's the Reef Slider. They are going to, at the end of the day, get punished for that. But I think 2 members down on either side. It's just going to be a lot going on here.
Absolutely, but Gelato Gems has to get it going right now because we are already into the single ticks going into this as they end up going 2 down. ChudForce in strong control of the zone. The ink is flying. It needs to happen now, but with one person near the zone and everyone else God knows where, it was unfortunately just a matter of time before that yellow zone ticked all the way down to 0, and we get a knockout, and a pretty solid one at that too, I'd say, because while Gelato Gems did have it like in the beginning, ChudForce came in, they came in strong, and they held that zone to their last dying breath. Now let's take a look at the replay here, as we can see that brush is just honestly, the Brush was really doing a lot of that skirmishing work. We saw a couple of picks from them on the bridge going into it here as Gelato Gems. Just, I feel like they really couldn't keep a hold on that zone, but we'll see if that changes at all. As the map mode does end up changing, we're going into Humpback Rainmaker, which, dare I say, is the best Humpback mode.
The best Humpback mode. You know, I'll give it that. I think that Humpback actually has a lot of usable modes, you know? People hate Tower, but that sounds like a skill issue to me because I play Try. So
Because you play Try. It's a skill issue to me because I play Feedoolies and I can just put a crab there.
Yeah,
I can just put a crab there. I can just put my crab on the tower, and what are you going to do about it?
Speaking of crab, this being Rainmaker Humpback pump track, you might want to crab in that mid, kind of put some pressure so that your teammates can get into that elbow and ultimately get the check. I always feel as though getting that first check is just so difficult. It's so easy to deny the other team. As long as all of your teammates are up, that first checkpoint, you can of course bomb it out. You can put like an unnecessary amount of mists there to just make it absolutely miserable. It's just so easy to deny. So for me, I guess you could say this about any Rainmaker, but on Humpback Pump Track, more than a lot of other places, it really is about that first checkpoint before the game really begins.
Absolutely. And because that specific checkpoint is in the elbow, it just makes it that much harder because, like you said, you can throw a bunch of bombs, a mist storm, you can put a wall there and then shoot from behind the wall, and the other team can't really like do anything about it. You know?
Absolutely. So I'm wondering here, you know, sometimes when you have these tight choke points like elbow on Rainmaker Humpback, I wonder what is it that they're going to do to make sure that that section is just clear for them to push into. And we have a change, I think, at the face on that Brush. They're switching over to the new Kraken Octobrush, and we also, I think, I could be wrong, but they had a pen and instead have changed over to the new Rapid Blaster.
And I do see that we may have an answer to our elbow problem lying within ChudForce's Bloblobber. It's a weapon that you don't really see much use of nowadays, but especially on that elbow, I feel like it could see a lot of use because those blobs are kind of nefarious in a tightly enclosed space like that. We can see we have that Rainmaker just hurtling towards that checkpoint. They do manage to get a dunk in before that Slosher manages to take them out due to the power of Super Sippies, which the Brush does end up taking the Rainmaker, moving it a little bit off the pedestal, and we can see those blobs are flying. We see that Reslider coming in, and it's just an absolute special bloodbath in mid now, as we can see Gelato Gems trying to take control of their area and push up a little bit.
Super Sippies, make sure that you get some copyright on that, Carney, because if it's anything that it is Super Sippies, but I have to bring attention to the fact that Doctor there gets a really fantastic pick with that hammer throw. Ultimately, that is going to be the rain coming out from what I believe was the Bloblobber, and that is going to also be kind of an easy check there for Gelato Gems. So we are now, they now are going to be pushing it back, or at least they're going to try, but Half picks that up to just try their hand again at probably getting more points. Just as we mentioned off the top of this match, the Crab comes out in mid to try and help that push, but ultimately it seems as though Half is stalling because it's just too difficult to push into that elbow section there, and not even the strikes are able to get them down. But finally, 3 members down, and I think that is going to be a clear run to less points.
Yeah, and what an amazing run that was before being stopped by that stamp from Doctor. With 3 down on ChudForce, they are in a solid lead now at a 18-60. Gelato Gems has got to get it together and do the exact same thing that was just done to them, because like you said, half waited and stalled out that elbow until the 3 down, and that's when they ran forward. And Gelato Gems really needs to get on top of that and run it even farther if they want to get this match in the bag, because while it is not impossible to win from this moment, it is quite difficult. So let's see how they manage to get through this elbow using hopefully the power of specials, and if they don't die first.
We have Bullnosaur with this jump out, very wise to bank that leaf slider and make sure that they do not go down, but they are being chipped out by a pen. Bricked is going to be the one who picks up, but they have a lot of things to contend with. That brush is going to go down, no longer an issue, and that reef slider comes out to try and just take more space, and they are walking with that tri-strike, but ultimately they will go down. It is just going to be the pen who's left, and they go down as well, leaving it, I think, to a delayed wipe, but just as they chip out the lead, they're able to pick up and move forward just a little bit. So Half, of course, going to drop that off the side and see what they can do in this last minute 20 to get that lead back.
The 1 point meme is still alive and well. Gelato Gems pushing it to that 17 in a last-ditch effort to get that lead under their control, and they did. And now ChudForce has to do the same. They have to fight through the elbow that is being thrown at specials, thrown at them from all sides, stalling. There is less than a minute left on the clock with that stamp coming in, and while that Rainmaker does manage to get out of the way the first time, the second time it is not so lucky. Howl and Brush are the only 2 left as Half comes back and manages to grab the Rainmaker one more time, but almost 30 seconds left on the clock while the remainder of Gelato Gems is just standing next to that podium, making sure nothing can pass. It is looking a little rough.
Yeah, but also they have their specials ready to go, and you see that Reef Slider is going to get punished, and the tri-strikes are going to come out. Half just narrowly avoiding them, and they are going to get that lead in the last 13 seconds. That's gotta hurt if you're on Gelato Gems, because now they are going to have to rely on OT essentially to get this lead back and to keep this set alive. So Bricked dropping it right, going to that elbow. That's going to be a trade there between the Wiper, but there's an active Crab that is just trying to chip out Bricked. Doesn't ultimately get them down, and Bricked making their way to the elbow, but ooh, a sneaky play. I know you must have liked that, Carney, as the Dooley player. They dropped there, did a dodge roll, and gunned them down for the 2-0 win in the set.
God, Howl, if you are listening to this after your set, God bless the Doolies. That was such an amazing play. I watched the jump onto that, like onto the wall there, and then the dodge roll, and I knew it was done. I was like, oh man, this is it. Let's look at it again. Let's look at it again, because I want to see that amazing stop. Bricked outrunning the Crab. We can see Howl on the wall with the Crab. The Crab runs out, and from the bottom left, the jump onto the wall into the dodge roll, it was just chef's kiss. Peak Dooley's play.
Yeah, absolute cinema. And I gotta commend, really clutching up there, because you see that they actually just dodge rolled into a sea of blue just to get that pick. So really fantastic play there. A really strong play to just end off the set, because that could have been stalled out a lot longer, and to just drop into enemy ink like that and say, nah, there are literally 3-4 people in this area, but I believe I can get the kill. What fantastic gameplay.
Absolutely. And with that incredible stop from ChudForce. We are going to be rolling into a little bit of a break before our third groups stage. Good luck to both of these teams going forwards. Let's take a little bit of a break and have a sippy.
Hello, everybody. We are back with SOS 214. I'm Sasu, finally off of my British VPN service, ready to go. So now I will see everything in 3K. Also, my 4K, my glasses are on as well. So I'm ready and rearing to go, but not without my partner in crime. It's Carney.
It's me. I'm partner in crime. That's me. I'm ready for this next round of groups right before the bracket starts. Unfortunately, it was going to be who gets to go to Great White, but FLUE is guaranteed to go to Great White. But like, let's bring the energy like it's who's going to Great White. It's be like, whoa, guys, this is like the Great White decider round. Let's bring that energy to Miracle so that way they can like, what, push for Hammerhead? I believe. Yeah, I believe in them.
This is, of course, our 13th seed versus our 12th seed in Miracle and FLUE, respectively. And I think if Miracle were to lose this, I think they might drop down to Mako.
Ooh.
So this is quite important. They will drop down from, I think they're probably projected to be in around Hammerhead to Mako Mart. So this is going to be very important, particularly for that team. But let's take a look at these loadouts. Honestly, Carney, we've been seeing a lot of Octobrushes this time around.
It's Octobrush Wednesday. Didn't you hear?
I didn't. Clearly, I did not.
Well, it's actually Octobrush Wednesday. So, let's take a look at it. Like, I'm really interested to see that both of these teams are carrying a mini Splatling of some capacity. We've got Rattler on the side of FLUE. I believe that is Galactic playing, if I remember correctly, while we've just got the regular plain old Vimy on Miracle. But interesting to see those two weapons meet up head-to-head like this.
Vimy for sure has been, not Vimy, but mini Splatlings have been on the rise for sure amongst teams for very good reason, especially because they have just these strong specials that you can use. But you are going to see, I think, that double coming out there from this Zip as well, and just like a lot of chipping, a lot of specials happening here. But ultimately, FLUE does have the hold. You have Ezio going down there to the mercy of the mini, and now you're seeing why these teams are exactly choosing to run it.
Absolutely, and we are already down to the single digits. Not even any time to talk about the plays that these teams are making, because FLUE has been really having it under control, but with them ending up going 2 down, 3 down, Miracle going in with the Hail Mary here, manages to flip the zone, giving FLUE a 75 tick penalty to their name, and that may just be enough time for Miracle to win this first match and pull off what is essentially a miracle here, because wow, I was really not expecting them to get that, and with a stamp throw to the face by Ray, it does manage to seem like Miracle is just really going all in here.
Yes, as you mentioned, that really is the miracle, and even on top of that, you have to mention that they had basically no penalty, so that number is just going to tick down ever so quickly. You see all of those members going down for FLUE as well, and we have already made it to the 10s. We're going to have that Kraken, I believe, coming out from that brush. They are able to put that in neutral, but not paint over the entire thing, so it is going to be a buzzer beater here, going down, 2 members down for FLUE. And we're wow.
Yeah. Insane.
That is going to be what, a 100-0 run there from Miracle after just stopping them there. You would hate to be FLUE, knowing that if you had just kept if everyone had stayed up and painted over, they might have themselves gone from 100 to 0. But yeah, do not underestimate what it is to not only stop the other team and give them the ultimate penalty of that 75, but when you yourself are holding on to this zone and you have no penalty, you can very much so yourself just kind of give them the mirror match and run down to 0 yourselves.
Absolutely. I have not seen a match like that in quite some time, with Miracle stopping FLUE at that 1 point mark, handing them the 75 point penalty, and then immediately just going for the 100 to 0 without stopping is absolutely insane. And hopefully we get to see more of that insane gameplay as we are going into our Tower Control Inkblood Art Academy match here. It is not looking like much has changed in the terms of our comps, which is probably for the best, because both of these teams were playing like no tomorrow in that previous match. And I'm really excited to see how the Zimmies and the Blasters are going to fare on this tower match. And spoiler alert, they're probably going to fare really well.
Yes, of course. It's gotta be frustrating for both of these teams. They're both coming up against those Blasters, like you mentioned. But of course, Vivi is on that S-Blast of note. This is a really strong weapon, one that people are looking people are kind of assuming is going to soon be nerfed, so Vivi definitely may be getting this last hurrah on the weapon, but doing a really good job getting that that Booyah Bomb on the right and ultimately just taking a lot of space, leaving Miracle to just get an early lead. Currently, it seems like no one is on the tower. X-Man just kind of throwing that hammer, but not quite getting much out of it, seeing as though most of their teammates were just kind of in scuffles. So that is going to be a free tower retake for FLUE as they try their hand on a push of their own.
Yeah, and that was a really solid jump out from Ezio there, who did have a cooler in his pocket. So just really able to keep that cooler under control was probably quite beneficial here, because FLUE now ends up going 2 down, as well as Miracle going 2 down. That hammer is out. We do end up finding a pick, and Vivi looks like it might be their time as well. Does end up going down as X-Man on that mini is just trying to hold that platform as much as they possibly can. Miracle does end up going 2 down, but the stamp is in their pocket, ready to be put out at any time. But unfortunately, it seems like FLUE has the upper hand here, with the sodas out, Galactic on that tower and ready to go.
Yes, but this is definitely a difficult place to push. We have a lead switch here, but Ezio trying to defend these bats, but ultimately they go down to this Octobrush in Ray, rather not Octobrush, excuse me, Ink Brush, and they pop the hammer, just go over Vivi, keep going for X-Man, but they get counter-stamped here from X-Man, who does keep going here. So ultimately, it seems as though Miracle was able to stop the bleeding. Of course, they lost this lead, but they've taken more control of the map, though FLUE, I think, despite the fact that their push got stopped, they've done a fantastic job of keeping their control of mid and not being pushed back too far. So I think we may be seeing another push starting soon, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's coming out of FLUE.
Absolutely. And I can hear that hammer getting popped yet again. It seems like in this match, it is just a matter of hammering or being hammered here, because just the hammers back and forth with each other in that crazy stamp match that we got was really, really nice to see, and honestly kind of refreshing here. X-Man in the back, getting that sacred sippy, trying to get onto that tower, right it, so that way they can get to and hopefully pass that second checkpoint. We are less than 90 seconds away from the match ending as they manage to take the lead, and FLUE goes 3 down. This is their chance to push it even farther than they had before, riding towards that checkpoint 3 in all of its glory. We do see a really nice pick, but they do end up going 2 down, but it's 3 down on FLUE. There are kills happening everywhere, and I don't know if they're going to be able to hold this for very much longer.
Yes, you see the tower making its way back to mid as basically all of them have just been forced out of this plat situation. But like you said, this is a fantastic push. Down to a 17 can be very difficult to contest, except for the fact that this is, of course, tower control. And if you really have the momentum going for you, you can just sort of bulldoze over the other team, keep a push going, and all it takes sometimes is one good push. So you have those jump-ins happening here. Vivi, of course, getting that pick, camping that jump, and 2 members down from FLUE is going to really open things up for Miracle to go into the plat, get the sippies, the sacred sippies as you put it, and get ready for this push. But there's not that much time left. Just 19 seconds, and especially with an open Zuka, X-Man trying to fight their way out of this and see what they can get done for their team to have this last push.
Wall 3 do end up going down on FLUE. That is just a scramble for the tower at this point, as Miracle has it under their control, and with no members of FLUE near the tower or left alive, Miracle pulls off the miracle, 2-0ing FLUE in the very last of their group's games, giving them a potential. What does that say? They are forcing a 3-way tie, which will probably be decided through just straight facts and game points here. But what an incredible play for both of these teams. It was just back and forth so much. It's really easy to see why these teams are so closely seated together, why they're just 1 seed apart.
Yeah, Miracle was really living up to their name with that first run, especially. Like, I think I was just thinking to myself, ooh, like, you hate to see it whenever a team, when you're at 1 and then the game has to keep going because you failed to knock it out, and you're like, oh my gosh, like, am I ever gonna make it through the 75 penalty? And FLUE was not able to even take down one of those points. It was just a straight run to 0. So always just really ironic and very funny when you get to see a team like Miracle live out their name, and you're seeing on the screen Group L and the scores going on in this group. We mentioned that there's going to be a forced tiebreaker right now. Los Inklings are going up against Luminescence in 0-1. I believe Luminescence is wait, who is... Let me go on to Sendo to see... Oh, that is our 36th seed in Los Inklings versus Luminescence, our 37th seed. So you really never know who's going to come out on top here. But I think after that's tabulated, we're going to take a look at those game points, see who knocked out, see who maybe lost in like a 36-35. And that's when those points really matter, because it will decide who gets into what bracket.
Absolutely. And while all of these points are being calculated and fumbled with, and the numbers are being counted in mysterious and magical ways that I could never dream nor hope of doing, because I am a yapper at heart, I believe we are going to be taking a little bit of a break.
Why, yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to SOS. We are going right into our top cut games. That's right. It is time for Great White. And here on the mic with me, the ever so lovely co-commentator of my dreams, Sasu.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Carney. I'll take it. And speaking of lovely, we are looking at this first round for Great White. It will be Peekaboo versus Gaia. Now, somehow, I feel as though I'm always commentating for Gaia. Literally anyone who was watching or attended Don't Flounder at the function this past weekend, I had the honor of commentating for SpongeBob Big Guy Pants OK, which of course famously had 3 members of Gaia, but now you are getting to see them in their full glory, and you're gonna get to see them soon because we're getting right into it. Actually, it is Onion who is going to be playing, and looking at these loadouts, of course, Sencon on that more conventional pen. Sometimes you will see them on a Rapid Blaster, but it is going to be Peekaboo who is running not only no cooler, but opted for the edit that has Crab. So we'll see how they fare up against Sencon's pen.
Honestly, I feel like Credit is a solid choice here because on Barnacle and Dime, like we see right now, that Crab can be a real menace on that open space. We do end up getting a pick off of Gaia now. 2 down on Peekaboo's side, 2 down on Gaia. Gaia is in control of the lead for now, but they are just 5 points in, and this game has just barely started. So now we can see Lucky on the ledge right underneath that platform area, looking to try and get something, but Peekaboo, really true to their name, does end up popping up right behind that Crab and demolishing it in one fell swoop.
Yes, it is going to be the zone going into the hands of Peekaboo here, and they're moving up as well, trying to go for this lockout. Now we know that Barnacle and Dime, very lockout heavy area, so it is in your best interest to try and see if you can get that. And right now they have Gaia's plat. that crab is going to come out from Luckio. We have a throw there, rather, from Devade, my apologies. And all of these specials are going to come out to try and put a stop to that bleeding, so to speak. It is at 42, and it's going to continue despite the fact that 2 members have gone down. So you have Luckio trying to reposition, go back with their team at the plat, and finally they do get their hands on that zone.
And with the super special Sippies online, we can see the members of Gaia coming in, trying to get just some sort of semblance of control of those side lanes here. But Peekaboo, with that Reef Slider, is going to retake control of that zone, giving Gaia a 17-tick penalty. They are back to a 17-tick penalty here as Peekaboo is up in their business, just trying to maintain control of that zone. And we see that crab once again being popped right now as the stamp coming from the side just really manages to encapsulate the entire zone. We see Squinky moving up onto that platform area, trying to be that anchor that we know and love, to anchor the rest of their team so that way they can get the lockout in their control. And with the single digits coming as quick as they can, it is really not looking good for Gaia, as they do end up going 3 down in the moment. And with that, Peekaboo takes control of the first game of the set.
Yes, that was a decisive win at the end there. Peekaboo was very careful not to make sure that they didn't overextend, that they were stationed in exactly where they needed to be, because I think if enough of them had gone down, Gaia would have been able to mount a really strong comeback. So I think that was a really good show of restraint. We're going to take a look at the replay here. You see Peekaboo moving up to this plat section. You see, I think that's a curling pick there on, ultimately, I think on Devade, and it's just going to be Devade left here, going to go down to that roller as time is called. So we are going to be headed to a little bit more of a back and forth in tower control Inkblot, rather than Splat Zones, Barnacle and Dime, which can be very lockout heavy. But right now, Gaia, of course, is on the back foot, and they're going to have to take this win home if they have any hope to take the set.
Absolutely, because like per usual, our top cut is going to be best of 3. We're going right into that Inkblot Tower match that you were talking about, and I'm not really seeing any variation in the weapons here. We're actually, no.
There is one thing.
I'm wrong.
Yes. There is a change from Sencon. I mentioned off the top that Sencon tends to like going that rapid blaster, and you are seeing it here in the cooler one. So still going to be that cooler backline, but on something a little bit more suited to tower. 3 members already from Peekaboo are down, and Sencon getting that trade, I think, on the crab edit that will be the wipeout for Gaia here. And Luckio on this pro Forge, which I will always have to call out as it is one of my favorite weapons, holding that booyah, just trying to stay a threat for as long as they can while those strikes come out from Onion, who is going to go down. There's just a barrage of specials happening here, and they already have a solid push where they're past the halfway mark.
And going through that checkpoint too, like it was butter with a hot knife. Onion here just on that slosher, really taking a good care to make sure that the tower was safe until Devade pops in. With that crab in the back pocket there, I can only imagine it is going to be popped any time now, as the opposing crab from Peekaboo is looking at it. And we do see that crab being popped in that bats area, which is a very, very good spot for that crab to hang out, giving you that sort of pressure that you want to see. Peekaboo does end up going 3 down, but a stamp throw to the face on that tower. Luckio still in control of that tower, and they push past their checkpoint 3, and with the GG strikes incoming and a wipeout on Peekaboo, it is just easy peasy lemon squeezy, ride that tower to the goal with a really super solid knockout from Gaia. Now talk about
Carney,
the size of matches.
Love being on the mic with you. Easy peasy lemon squeezy indeed. And you see all of them just kind of being a little bit chill here. Onion, she's she's messing up the group chill a bit. I think everybody set their stuff to match at perhaps Don't Flounder, except for Onion there. You see her going down to the hammer in that moment. But I think past that, everything just really dominant for Gaia. They were having a difficult time in that first game, but you see that Peekaboo hardly got any points on the board. A 90, making it only to a 98, which essentially is just touching that tower. So we are going to see if Peekaboo, what necessarily wasn't working for them, what was working for them, because now that we're tied up, it's all going to come down to Splat Zone's Robo Ramen. And it might be Gaia who has the momentum to take the rest of this set home, or alternately, maybe Peekaboo says, hey, here's the stuff that caused us to lose so much. Now that we've seen the rapid, we're ready for it this time around, and we're ready to counter it.
It honestly, like most of these matches, could go either way. And especially since, like Barnacle and Dime, I feel like Robo Ramen is quite the lockout heavy map, especially if you do manage to take control of that elbow area facing spawn right outside of the zone. And with both of these teams going in, SenCon has made the decision to swap back over to the pencil. I do want to point out that the end parries are on the field. They will be crabbing no longer, as they have decided to go for that AoE special to try and maybe live up to that Reef Slider coming from the Dreadringer. But Peekaboo already, with an insane opening, manages to get it all the way up to 70 before losing a little bit of control here. But they are still going strong and fast.
Yes, there have been quite a few comp changes that we're seeing. Not only those end parries, of course, we have a switch back from Luckyo away from the Forge and onto the Frozen Pro. Gonna have those missiles online. And of note is we've seen that crab edit every single time up until now. Finally, Peekaboo is going to have that cooler coming out of the edit. And I think that Gaia actually has a really tall mountain to climb if it isn't already apparent. The other team, Peekaboo, is already down to 15, so now they are painting, but they are up against 2 Reef Sliders. That is super difficult, and I think with 3 of the members going down, there's probably not going to be enough time to get back into that mid, so that is just going to be game for Peekaboo. I think paying back Gaia with their decisive win in that second match.
Youch. You really hate to be Gaia on this match because, like you said, comp switches aplenty on both sides, but I feel like the double reef slider silliness was probably the decisive matter in that, because I feel like Gaia could not keep control of the paint on the zone at all. We saw Reef Sliders just coming in from all angles, while the other members of Peekaboo just consistently picked off the members of Gaia and pushed them all the way back to spawn with single digits remaining on the counter, which is not something you want to be a part of.
Yes, that was certainly very difficult on them. That is going to be, I think, Gaia just being pushed out ultimately. Of course, this is single elim, so Peekaboo going to take that in the 2-1 move forward to playing against Count My BandZ, which I think I'm going to check their seed right now. Not super important because ultimately everybody made it into this bracket. Everybody is worthy, but Count My BandZ is the 3rd seed. Peekaboo being our 14th seed. So that is going to be a large mountain that they're going to have to come up against, because, you know, when you see someone with such a high seed, sometimes it can be very intimidating, but we've seen upsets happening even in groups. So I wouldn't be completely surprised if Peekaboo, especially after that performance, was able to pull it out and then Count My BandZ packing. We we'll just have to keep an eye on the bracket and see how that goes.
Absolutely. I definitely couldn't have said it better myself. Now, our next match for Top Cut is not ready yet, but I do hate to break it to all of you lovely people on Twitch, but the first act of the Commentators has unfortunately come to a close because it is now time for our Block 2 Commentators to come onto the mic and make sure that you guys are getting as good of an experience as you had with me and Sasu. My name is Carney. You can find me on carnivai.bsky.social, anywhere on Discord as Senseless Wrath, and anywhere you find your Splatoon communities on Discord, I've probably commentated for them. So if you see me out in the wild, come say hi. I promise I don't bite.
Yeah, and you know, now that the pretty trees are dead, probably getting to hear a lot more from Carney, so be sure to follow up with him and see what's going on. As for me, you can find me as Sasu in Your Pants. That's SASUIN, the letters UR, pants, basically on any sort of social media. Lots of issues with my internet and everything today, so thanks for putting up with me on the mic. Thank you to IPL, and thank you all for watching. Make sure you don't go anywhere because, of course, there will be more SOS coming straight at you.
everybody, and welcome to Swimmer Saint 214, another weekly in the books for the year in January. My name is Kyon, fresh off of a grocery run. I am joined by Fusion. Fusion, how are you doing?
I am hanging in there, Kyon. I am. It's been a time. I'm doing all right. We got some Splatoon action. We got 3 more sets in this tournament, quarters, semis, and finals. I'm excited for some more Splatoon action, some familiar faces on these teams as well. The presentation is like almost entirely players that I recognize, which is awesome.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's gonna be deja vu for both of us. Here a couple weeks ago, we were back together, and now we're back here together again for this. And I agree, presentation had very familiar names, especially for me. Woomy is definitely one that strikes all vanilla as well, and it's basically half Honkai, half new information for that roster. Starfall. Now, I don't know if this is I see a logo, so this is a legitimate team, but I will call out here that their team in Sendu is not exactly that. So I'm gonna have many questions about them not uploading their logos to their Sendu team profile. Have some personality, Starfall. You should probably fix it afterwards if you're an established team. But that's the team that they're up against, and I think this should be a fun best of 3. Best of 3, I believe. Yes, best of 3 coming up.
Oh my god. Okay. Sorry. My cats are going absolutely bonkers. They know we're in for some good Splatoon gameplay, and so they are bouncing off all of the walls. We do have, I think, Allegro is a brush player, so I always like watching Inkbrush when, I just always like watching Inkbrush. I can't mash that fast, but it's very interesting in the way that they play. But might be a little bit more difficult. Zones Hagglefish is what we are going to be teeing off on for our first match of the quarterfinals. And a little bit of a one-way street here in the middle. Very narrow, hard to push through. Makes the flanks very important, but also difficult.
I've been surrounded by a lot of good Inkbrush players for my time. I know a good friend of mine's Kraken will call me out if I don't mention his name for sure. But I've definitely I see some amazing brush players. I'm kind of with you. Unfortunately, I'm at the point where I don't have the tap speed because I think it would actually hurt my wrists now if I keep doing it for a prolonged period of time. Look, Chad, if you end up getting older, your wrists just get slower and slower. It gets more painful. It absolutely sucks. So if you're young and you like playing Inkbrush Inkbrush, enjoy it while you can. It's not going to get any better when you get old. But back to the zones game here. Yeah, it's going to be Hagglefish Market Zones, and I do agree it is a much more narrow pathway that players will have to deal with. Their 2 Allegro has that Inkbrush that I would love to see. And I'm personally, I'm a huge fan of any type of weapons that show up. It could be anything that we could dish out here. And I think you can go a lot of different ways. And of course, the second map, since we run a variety of zones, Tower Control and Clan Blitz being the middle one is going to be intriguing to see for everybody watching. And I mean, Fusion, I know we got the first map coming up. I want to say that the cats that you have more energy than I do in this evening, just for context.
It's always time for an 8 p.m. cup of coffee, perhaps.
No. I know we're the coffee duo, but this is where it's way past coffee time.
It's not the right time for that whatsoever.
No, absolutely not. We're about to cue right in. I'm gonna hop in for you in this one. Presentation is the Alpha side, Starfall's in the Bravo side. I mean, this is almost as standard of a weapon set you're gonna see across the board. Here, I think of all things, the weird weapon of choice is actually probably the Inkbrush and Heavy Edit. But otherwise, both teams, at least I'll give both teams props here. Unique weapons across the board. I'm actually excited to see how both teams use their weapons so far. As we do get a bit of a duel, Starfall will take the first cap. Probably not for long though, Fusion.
Not too big of an advantage. They kind of end up just grabbing the cap, not able to move entirely through that zone. So presentation's pretty quickly able to bounce back. That crab not able to get any mileage, but a failed punish is going to allow Woomy to find a pick, but that's not going to matter because Starfall is outnumbering the remainder of presentation. They're going to clean up mid here and have a very nice setup for a hold as they get extra specials online to defend.
I love actually what Allegro just did, by the way, just running through the trip strikes, trying to see if they can catch Starfall in the midst of a smoke screen effectively from the trip strikes, but they weren't able to get any picks whatsoever there. It leads to Starfall being able to extend this push a little bit more, and I think a Reefslider was burned, but to no success. It is still a lot of points that Starfall is taking advantage of here. Presentation finally popping their specials. There is a chance for Presentation to get the zones, and they're able to do so. The trip strikes are being thrown. If anything, Presentation buys themselves a little bit of time. Actually, I take that back. They bought themselves a zone and more points on the board. But so far, Presentation might be able to keep this push going. There's a Looming Reefslider and a Looming Bubble on the other side of Starfall that they could take advantage of.
Yeah, they are able to cap that zone, which is going to apply a bit of a penalty, give them a little bit of breathing room, but unfortunately not able to find too much more out of it. Now a very nice pinch from FazBaz and Zippycaster is going to enable them to start a push. They get that bubble onto the enemy plat, but just the trade means this isn't going to be a full lockout on its own. The crab ends up getting taken out, but Starfall ended up having to back pretty far up in order to defend themselves. So Presentation has a lot of room to work with here in the middle of the map.
Yeah, Presentation actually originally had that crab that was available. Julius got sent away back to spawn, and I'm actually kind of curious to see what Presentation can really do so far. Maybe this is the opening that they need, because they got 2 members that they've eliminated. Now they have a crab that is available from the dualies as well. Lego did go down from earlier that I'd be wanting to keep some eyes on here, as Umi effectively pops it now, but tries to throws it from range, and there's only the decap that drops, but it buys them the space that they need here. Fusion S-Blast is going down. FazBaz still using that Dreadringer to its best to its potential at the very least, but so far Presentation is able to get a nice little counter push. They might be looking for a lead here soon if they're able to sustain it here, Fusion.
Yeah, Presentation is going to take that timer even lower. FazBaz with that Reefslider is going to get up towards the zone just in the nick of time, and that is going to be Starfall grabbing the zone back before they lose that lead. But unfortunately for them, Presentation was waiting with those super jumps on the other side of that splat zone, and that means they were not prepared for a quick attack. So Presentation getting two quick picks, which will allow them to shift that momentum. Still, very neutral situation turns into Starfall's favor as a 3 down. Let Starfall grab back that zone and just cover the map in a sea of blue once again, Kyun.
To sea of blue it is for Starfall, and they're able to keep this one going, but Mumi, of course, being able to skirmish correctly here, and it's actually almost getting the wipeout. There's the wipeout, but it did cost Mumi's life there, so Mumi will probably be respawning and will be hopping in here shortly with the super jump looming in. So for Presentation, minute and 10 seconds left here, they have a chance to keep this to keep the pressure going, and but they are having to face a looming Reefslider, a looming bubble that could be used also. Those clip which is popped right away, and here is that Reefslider that takes out the crab, but at the cost of their own life. And this will be Presentation getting the lead here, and they could be actually looking for the KO if they keep the pressure going. They throw a few splat bombs. That is Nilla throwing a few splat bombs. That is, and pushes Starfall back. There's actually not much in the way of specials other than a desperate buoy bomb that's probably gonna be used here. Phoenix throws it right into the middle of the zone with the burst ball and everything else, but there's no paint left because everybody has dropped there. And Fusion, despite the slow start from Presentation gets the KO at the end, and they win game 1 here in round 2 of the Great White Brackets.
I guess they do, and now in this best of 3, they're just a single win away from making it to semi-finals. I did like at the end of that game there how, I guess, far up that crab ended up being popped. I think that putting the pressure onto Starfall was very important. I think that basically the fact that the Reefslider and specials had to be burned in order to challenge that crab meant that there's no surprise zone cap. Booyah Bomb does not paint, not even remotely close to what Reefslider does. So, you know, if you're not able to get with that like Reefslider like onto the roof, or just because there's that tiny little ledge, right? If you can't get close enough to the zone, or you're not on the roof, you can't really Reefslide the zone. So just being able to protect and just keep Starfall far enough away where that reef couldn't cap that zone was very important, and allowed them to seal the deal there in that game 1.
Now we go on to game number 2, which almost seems instantaneous here. Both teams have basically they figured it somehow. Yeah. What timing their Fusion? But I think this, knowing that this is a quick queue, it's not going to be the same weapons. The answer is pretty much yes. It is basically the same weapons that we saw from game number 1 here in zones. All you gotta do is just change the map and then change the mode, and now you got a different ball game effectively here. So we saw the story from the previous game there. We did see Presentation able to crawl back from the slow start, but able to take that home to the KO mark, and then Starfall just gonna keep the same amount of weapons. You have the Dreadringer, the S-Blast, and the Decap readily available if they to basically keep that pressure going with the set of specials they have, including the Reef Slider. So I'd be curious to see what Starfall can do. They do get an advantage here. They get the Power Clam spawned in, and Zippycaster throws the first Power Clam for the first push of the game, and that'll be 2 small clams coming in. Nishi providing some jumps here, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to push up quite yet, but they are at least keeping the pressure going here. Fusion, and this is all it is at the end of the day. Fusion, a 1+2 push from Starfall.
Yeah, perhaps not as much as they were hoping to get off of that initial push. The Reef Slider was very well timed, but a lot of members of Presentation ended up being on that high ground because they were off of respawn, so perhaps did not get as much mileage as they were hoping for. As well, a lot of the clams were just ended up sitting pretty far back because the Reef Slider ended up basically suiciding in. The pencil was far back. The sword didn't have any clams, so there wasn't really too many members who were able to move those clams to the basket. As Woomy pulling off some very dynamic movements, but they triple from those dualies, which should open that door at least to let Presentation set up on this right side, get those super jumps in, and prepare for their first push of the game.
Yeah, losing the two members despite a nice little advantage from Woomy did mean that they had to slow it down a bit, which isn't a problem at the end. They are able to get some pressure still in the base of Starfall here, but Starfall's defenses so far are holding up nice here, as Nilly does get a pick onto Fazbaz, and that will be, excuse me, the 1 member drops, and there's a lot of yellow paint on the way to possibly getting that first push going. Zipcaster trying to flank to the other side. They had to drop the Power Clam there, but it allows it allows the rest of Starfall to take out Nilla. That is, Woomy's gonna go down, and that opportunity is pretty much gone by the wayside. The Power Clam disappears right in front, right where Presentation was, and Nishi has that Power Clam spawned in. 2 minutes and 40 seconds into the game, and the push that Presentation had is no longer available.
Oh goodness, yeah, the cooler just came out, but 2 members went down without grabbing it. So this is a big opportunity for Presentation. They start to move over towards that right side. Now again, they've kind of repeatedly been running into that blaster and the decav on the enemy plat when they've attempted to make pushes in the past, but ending up getting turned around as the sword ends up rushing behind them, getting under the basket, ending up getting pinched, but it's not going to be the end of Presentation there. They do allow Starfall onto their plat. Starfall not able to capitalize, just ended up going down in the process, trying to give those jumps under the enemy basket, but not able to sit there quite long enough. So yet again, Starfall's finding themselves on defense. They've been on defense a decent bit in this game, despite the fact that they have the lead.
Just the 1 push is really enough here from Starfall. This Presentation, I'm trying to figure out what Presentation could do. There's a lot of amazing plays that Presentation has done, but they're having to fight against a Lumen Reef Slider that Fazbaz just got 1 off of that Reef Slider pick there, but Carlos is able to run right in. But you have some decent range. You're having to rely on the skirts of Allegro and the duelists to do wonders there, and especially when the pathway is so narrow, it allows Zippycaster to try to fight and able to use 1 swing of the decaf to make that 1 count. And that Power Clam once again gone. Presentation has to spawn another Power Clam in its place. But even so, Starfall is still pushed back. But Starfall's weapon sets, I feel like, has been giving them a lot of room to maneuver here in this defensive setup. This is probably one of the lower scoring games I think I've seen in a while here in Museum. But there could be a chance. I take that back. There is not much of a chance for a push to start right away. They're just gonna. Allegro's just going to pick up the 7 clams, and Fusion, 1 Power Clam available, and Presentation still looking for the first push.
Yeah, Presentation's been having a very difficult time. I think part of that is just because they're opting for like a heavy edit comp, they need to play significantly closer together in order for that edit to have an impact on the fights, and it's been feeling like they've been a little bit separated. Woomy's just pulling off some heroics, getting onto the enemy plat, but despite all this, there is no Power Clam. There's the Pity Clam under their own basket. So many picks online. There's finally the clam, and it may be too late. The Reef Slider's going to come out and chase that brush backwards. They are going to end up going down by the basket, and despite everything, it's still 100 to 74. Presentation is going to have to make a push in overtime if they want to take this back. Starfall does not want to let it happen. They know their lead is slim. Can they do it, Keon?
They're still playing, but there's still an opportunity, but the time is not on their side. They're trying to go from the left-hand side, using that box to go right in, and now there's the first push. There's the triple link strikes, and I think they cash it on one. Is the second even there? No, the second isn't even there. I think a member got eliminated, but it didn't really matter in the end, because then I gotta look at the replay soon to see how that all counted. All that being said and done, Fusion, it's a 2-0 victory for Presentation. Once again, another slow start comes out with a victory at the end. In overtime.
Oh, that's interesting. That was the Clam Blitz game of all time, I would have to say.
I need to see the replay. Yeah, I need to see the replay here, because I saw one power clam. If there is a replay readily available, if not, we'll have to just read into it, and it looks like we won't. But I saw the one power clam cashed in, and all that I could find from that is, okay, they lost one. I think another power clam was spawned from the bomb side that I completely overlooked there, Fusion, and that pretty much allowed Presentation to get that one in. And they also nice use of the trip strikes there from Nil to provide a bit of a smoke screen for their team to just be able to swim in and throw the power clams where it needs to. And the score was only a 1+2 push from Starfall, which wasn't a huge lead in the slightest. 2 power clams was just going to completely send the lead the other direction. Presentation pretty much understood that, and that's how they ended up winning the set here, Fusion.
Yeah, I did like that they split the directions they ended up pushing in that overtime. They took one clam towards the box on the left, while the longer range weapon, I think, was it the edit, was on the right side with the second power clam. Even though the edit was not able to make it, they were able to at least keep the team back far enough that they could not easily target that block. So Allegro was able to make it to that basket with the clam, and the follow-up clams ended up coming from the other direction. So splitting the push ended up working out very well there. Presentation just barely eking by in that second game. They are going to win with that 2-0, facing the winner of Healbook and Reload. Healbook up 1-0 right now. That's our first quarterfinal match.
Yeah, now we're heading into semifinals, which we enter best of 5 territory. We get potential 5 games to work with, and I'm sure the team pretty much waiting in the wings is ready to go for this one. And this will be Supersonic versus Count My BandZ. And if you, for some reason, were thinking that you might be talking about teams that exist, it's actually just 2 pickups here. We got Spec, Rio, Ross, and Leaf rounding out Supersonic. And for those trying to figure out what the emoji is, I think that's just simply a flower on top of a lily pad. For those wondering, from Count My BandZ. So take that as you will. It is supposedly a Japanese player playing on that team, with Bun, Cyrene, and Kuro rounding out that Count My BandZ roster. So Fusion, it's a tale that can appear in Swimmer Sync. 2 pickups playing each other in semifinals.
The only thing that could make it better is if they were both called Pickup. I think
right?
we've already lived through that at some point in the past, several years ago, I'm sure.
It's lots of opportunities to possibly have the award for the worst pickup name every year, and thankfully these people do not want to fight for the worst pickup name, but it's just pretty generic pickup names. But if we're still in the territory, Fusion, in 2026, where we have teams call themselves a pickup team or pickup name or pickup in general, I think we're gonna have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I believe I think at least Rio and Leaf were on teams that have won SOS in the past few weeks, if I'm not mistaken, or at least were in the finals a couple weeks ago. These are just very good players. So I feel like everyone just, they just mix and mingle until things work.
There was a picture I posted in one of the channels that you guys will not have access to, because it's like, I feel like secretly every player here either wants to talk with other fellow Splatoon players that are secretly extroverted, or they're just or they're just saying, hey, somebody can just reach out to me, please. We just want to play. I just want to play Splatoon with y'all. It's like it was the picture of how introverts make friends. They don't, or an extrovert found them, liked them, and adopted them. And I'm now having the secret suspicion that every Splatoon player Fusion are actually just secretly extroverts. They just like talking to people. Well, how does that work? It doesn't. But but maybe you want to roll with it for a little bit. I want to see. I want to see how these two teams play. Wait, hold up. Am I reading the map? Am I reading the map list right? Do we have back-to-back tower controls in this, or am I being fooled here? But it.
Oh,
okay,
man.
so
I was hoping we got to play a terrible map.
Barnacle and Dime tower control. That would have been awesome. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I love
when was the last
watching
time
teams have to adapt to that.
Fusion, when was the last time you played Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz? Or excuse me, Barnacle and Dime Tower Control. You probably play Clan Blitz more often.
It was. Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. But I mean I haven't played much ranked, or not ranked, but just like Anarchy in the past. But I know that one of the most recent times was Barnacle Tower. So.
Oh no. Maybe a little too recent.
Interesting.
I still do you know what the worst part is? I think I played that map way too many times, and then realized I just remember the routing to say the least. I think we talked too much about Barnacle and Time Tower Control that we have forgotten that the first map actually is Ship-Shape Cargo Spot Zones. We enter best of 5 territory here in semifinals. I'm gonna try to level with you. Yeah, there you go. Supersonic is on the Alpha team. Bravo team is gonna be Count My Bands. I take a look at the weapons here. More surprisingly, almost as similar. We are continuing the trend of very unique weapons across the board. Custom Blaster and the knowledge actually from Count My Bands is the one that sticks out to me the most. But so far, we continue the trend of unique weapons here, Fusion.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things coming out on both sides. The Custom Blaster is an interesting pick. I feel like it can be a little bit hard to approach, but this map has such a vertical middle that I can see that Blaster doing a lot of work here, and Flex Up already at least finding one pick, not able to get any more. And that is going to allow Count My Bands to grab an early cap, with that high ground paying off in dividends for Count My Bands so far, but it is going to be taken over by Supersonic as they manage to neutralize, make their way back towards the middle, and attempt to force Count My Bands back.
Yeah, forcing Count My Bands back here, and they still have plenty of opportunities to strike here. So somewhat of a neutral game between both teams so far. Blue Bomb is being used here. It will most likely be thrown into the middle, which they will be, but it doesn't get any more of the zone other than probably getting it close to neutral, but not quite. So there's still points being ticking down here from Count My Bands. Crab Tank, by the way, popped from Supersonic as the triple link string also being used on top, and it takes out Spec there. Crab Tank's actually being forced backwards, and they actually get the pick onto Burden State, and Ka with the Nautilus will probably be looking for the triple there, but at the end I think he's just gonna play this one safe. But look out, smart, all things considered here. Fusion, Count My Bands is past the 40-point marker. They might be looking for the KO if they keep this one up.
Yeah, just that double triple splashdown, the Nautilus Ka doing so much work. That was a little bit deranged. That was an insane splashdown. Count My Bands looking to solidify this game. Both teams throwing specials at that zone, but Supersonic doesn't really have any good way to get in, but that hero play from Spec is going to neutralize the zone. That's 2 picks. It's just the Nautilus in the zone. They are able to find 1 pick while defending, but they end up going down in the process. A great effort, not able to stop the cap, but at least able to allow Count My Bands to regain some players and not get fully locked out, but they are going to get cleaned up a little bit, attempting to move in alone. So Supersonic now set up for a very nice hold. They have specials almost online, and they are ready to lock out Count My Bands.
Burden State, by the way, shout outs to you. You getting the double there that allowed this push to keep on going, and the pick to that left hand side able to get more points down on the board. So with that play, it allowed Supersonic to just take a lot more points from that zone, but it just doesn't look like they're gonna get a whole lot more as Ka takes out Bert once again, and it will be the captain for Count My BandZ as they get a double on the spec, and that will be Ka pretty much lurking large here with another double on the board for them, and the rest of Supersonic having to play out a respawn. The pencil also drops as well, and this is gonna be two members that have dropped here. Count My BandZ once again in a man advantage here. There is an Ultra Stamp and a Crab Tank waiting in the wings here. If they can use that and see if they can get fight of the zone back here. The triple splashdown gets nobody, and Ka takes out the Ultra Stamp, and that just stops the push that Supersonic was looking for. Count My BandZ takes this one home to a KO, and they will take home game 1 here in the semifinals.
Very nice stuff from Count My BandZ, able to put that game away after losing that zone in the middle. Just a lot of great work coming out, especially from Ka that game. I think that Nautilus is just such... both of them, Hogrider and Ka, both have that Nautilus on their badge. It just... the amount of like pressure and just consistent firepower that having both that Nautilus and the pencil puts out is very, very hard to deal with. And especially like that Ultra Stamp, like I don't think there's like any weapon that puts out that many bullets in that narrow an area in that fast a time, like to take out a hammer as Nautilus. Ka doing just a great job patrolling, super good at taking down people running towards you. Ka even made use of a little bit of the geometry on that splashdown as well. So, a great stuff for that first game.
Yeah, and that first game looked really spectacular, and I think Ka was able to keep things stable there for Count My BandZ, allowing the rest of the team to move forward there. And I want to see how this time Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz, how this one fares for Supersonic. I think there were a lot of good moments there that Supersonic had, especially with that with the splash that Burton State was using for Supersonic, but they think they just not a lot of things kind of materialized. All came down to individual plays that kind of made things up. But of course, it's Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz. I feel like anything could go here. We saw in the previous game, the best of 3, they just decided to say, okay, no, we just rolled the same weapon. So it wouldn't shock me if both teams end up doing the same at the end. But Fusion, another true map in Barnacle and Dime Clan Blitz is coming up here.
Yep, we do have Barnacle and Dime Clams. That's I've heard some mixed things about this map. I know my good pal Funky Eevee hates this map and thinks Clam Blitz here is terrible, but I've played this map on Clam Blitz so much in competitive that I don't know if I've been Stockholm syndromed into liking it or it's just pretty good. I don't know. It's pretty flat, and I think that just Count My BandZ has just such an interesting like composition and dynamic. Having that consistent long range pressure along with something like a Luna that is excellent at close range versus that more balanced team composition that's coming out on Supersonic will be interesting to see. So far, it seemed like the short range weapons are getting outranged and the long range weapons are getting rushed down as Supersonic makes quick work of Count My BandZ and starts that first push already down to the 50s is Supersonic, and they are showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, Supersonic keeping the momentum going there. That's a crab pick onto Flex Up, and that will be additional clams. So serendipitous clams, if you will, that spawns right next to him. And this actually, this goes to 100-0 in a quick hurry. This is a great response from Supersonic right now. They actually are getting some small clams thrown in. Now they're just throwing all this in right away with 17 clams. So 8. Do they have 2 more clams available? There is the desperate push for the 100-0. The achievement is not unlocked for that game for them. At the end, it is just a mere 5 points remaining. 95 points capped in one fell swoop. And needless to say, Fusion, it's a huge uphill to climb for Count My BandZ, but there is plenty of time on the clock for them to fight this one back. And so far, they might be looking for that response here soon. They already took out 2 here, especially with the weapon subs that they have here. It's now, especially when you got that Lunar Blaster that can still do work here even on shorter range with that Ultra Stamp as well. They could be looking to do a lot of damage as the first push for Count My BandZ is cashed in. But I think Fusion at the end of the day is just a one and done push for Count My BandZ.
Yeah, and it felt like Count My BandZ, I don't want to say they rushed it, but just watching them in the middle of the map, it looked like there were no clams spawning around them. It seemed like they were on cooldown, or they just ended up spawning like on their side of the map, you could see they only had that singular power clam, and they were even struggling to just get that. That's part of the thing on Clam Blitz, is just it's sometimes you can you can wipe out the other team, but you might just not be able to find the clams in time because your push doesn't last long enough. So despite I guess a dominant push from Count My BandZ, they barely get anything out of it. That's going to be a pity clam. Splashdown gets a little trade despite being canceled mid-air. That is going to work in the favor of Count My BandZ, as I think they still get back part of that special as a result. But still huge hill to climb for Count My BandZ. Supersonic is in a great spot this game. They just need to manage to maintain some presence in mid and control that clam economy if they want to win this game.
There's still about 2 minutes left to go in this game, so a lot of things can basically happen here. Supersonic, by the way, gained the 3 down situation in favor for them. They're going to look to see if they can materialize another push on the board, because this is a lot of room that they can work with here. Now they have 32 effective points that need to be cashed if they want to get this KO. There's a lot of clams that are around. Burt is dropped, the one that had the most amount of clams in their possession here. Spec is not able to cash in on those quite yet. They're actually having to burn the Zipcaster on the collider there against Paul Ryder. All things considered, it is not a push that gets him out of penalty, so it is another free clam that's available here for Count My BandZ, and they're already rushing to the other side here. They have yet to get full control of mid with the weapons that they have in store. But for specials, they have an Ultra Stamp that is available. They also have a Zuka that they can make, that they have, which they just burned. Spec is just trying to retreat there for the hills and actually goes down, and there's 2 members that have dropped as well. Shoka is going to be the one that's going to try to push up. There's going to be another push imminent here, as there is 70 points remaining, and now the small clams are being filtered in, and now they cut the deficit a little smaller here. Things gain a little dicey for Supersonic if they want to win game 2, but Fusion, 40 points remaining, does close the gap a bit.
Yeah, and they do manage to make a lot of progress. They still keep the basket open, just grabbing some extra clams in the nick of time. And those picks, okay, the heroics are not going to allow them to fully continue this push, but they are set up for a possible comeback for the ages. They now have 1 power clam. They're getting some clams in that backfield, and they're still maintaining quite a bit of pressure onto Supersonic here. Now, we're going to be heading to the final 20 seconds, and they are likely going to have to push in overtime. I don't think this is quite enough clams for the lead just on its own, so they're going to need to find some picks, and it starts with Ka moving in on that left side, trying to find and just catch people within their range with that Nautilus, but all turned around are Count My BandZ as that Zipcaster comes in and wreaks havoc. That is going to take out multiple members on the side of Count My BandZ. The power clam is just going to run in desperation towards the basket, and that will be the game. I don't think Shoka's going to make it in time, especially since it's a pencil. Yeah, great stuff from Supersonic hanging on to that game. Count My BandZ made an incredible attempt at that comeback. That Zipcaster just, put a knot in their plan there.
Sometimes that Zipcaster is all that it matters, especially with 195 point push from the very start of the game, giving you the wiggle room that you need. And hey, shout out to Uriel, by the way, with the 52 gal, getting some few nice finds at the end of that push here. But as we get a quick little replay there, as you mentioned before, the Zipcaster game 1, Uriel gave the pick onto Shoka, which only slowed down where the power clam was getting picked up. Now, sure, there was a pick on the left hand side that did eliminate the pencil. It was starting to turn into one messy fight after the other. Cog gets one, and then everybody just it's effectively a mutually assured destruction battle. Everybody basically all going down on that push, which only favors Supersonic at the end there. So 1-1 tie coming into semifinals here. Both teams still trying to see if they can get some nice results here, playing in the weekly. As moving on is Inkblot Art Academy Tower Control, which the one thing we did overlook in the previous game, Fusion, was different weapons abound this time. So we have seen some flexibility across the board. It wouldn't shock me if both teams want to change things up again.
I think that's certainly a possibility. Something like that Luna Blaster was interesting. I think that I can kind of understand it. Being like a blaster player just in general, I think that, I feel like it's weird, but Custom Blaster, I think, just has a harder time finding things to do in general compared to Luna Blaster, at least the one with Fizzy Bomb. You don't have that fizzy. You don't have a great way to approach. So if the map is more open, it might make sense to use the Luna Blaster there versus like a more like congested map. I wouldn't be surprised if we see like a Luna Blaster again here, just because it might be hard to approach up that hill with that custom blaster. We do indeed see that Luna Blaster come out once again. Still the crab and the stickers stamper on the side of Supersonic. This might be exactly what we saw in game 1 minus that Luna Blaster.
I think pretty close to it there with the Luna Blaster. I have to recall the 52 showed up there in game 1 as well. So I think this almost kind of merged between the previous 2 games. Yeah. With this one inning. Hey, let's just pick the weapons that we had in game 1. Let's also throw in a few from game 2, and voila, we have given you guys the weapons here in game 3. Cooking class here in Splatoon. I'll say that much. As we have got 98 points remaining here, the first tap from Supersonic, so to speak. Their crab tank and a killer whale for global sights game is available. And it looks like they'll have to be slowed down by a bit, especially with the rest of the teams following suit. Flex Up is going to drop there too. The Birds having a hard time climbing back up to their base. They finally were able to do so, but this allows Count My Bands to get the lead here in short order. 4 minutes left to go on this clock, and there will be the first checkpoint. Not quite broken through yet, but a story as old as time. We are back into a slightly equal state. Maybe for this particular set, only once.
No, okay. I was like, did the Booyah Bomb just kill all the splashdowns? No, it didn't. It got one of them. That's about it. But Count My Bands is storming up onto that enemy plat. That is going to be 3 members charging the bats there. That wall, no match for the Ultra Stamp. Flex Up doing a lot of work spacing out the enemy team. Tower's going to roll through past that first checkpoint as Count My Bands looks to extend that lead. They are in a prime position to do so, but not quite able to hold out in the bats long enough to capture this second checkpoint, as now Shoka finds himself under fire and the tower is indeed going to get turned around before a cap occurs. But Count My Bands still in a pretty good spot. They still have multiple members up and are able to begin defending themselves, but a little bit of a stagger might give Supersonic the edge they need to take that first checkpoint.
Supersonic will also clean out Ka and Hog Rider as well, which will benefit them in terms of respawns. And there's Flex Up is right there. Flex Up is trying to fight crap from the lower ground, and somehow the blaster survives. I think I'm just going to declare that a draw there at the end there, Fusion, as 2 members have dropped. It's actually 2 members on both ends have dropped there. Flex Up using the Ultra Stamp is going to take a slightly wrong turn, but able to take out Spec at the end from that Ultra Stamp toss. All that being said and done, despite the shenaniganeries that were in play here, Fusion, it's not even quite the first checkpoint from Supersonic whatsoever. Both teams not quite getting any sort of control around mid, and Count My Bands has 3 members kind of crowding around the tower there, but I think both teams are just looking to play this one from a neutral standpoint, so to speak here, Fusion.
Yeah, Count My Band still has that nice lead that they're hanging on to, but Supersonic is putting on a lot of that pressure. That 52 gal spacing out members on that left side. 2 members now attempting to chase Count My Bands back up onto their plat. Trade is going to make it difficult to at least take that checkpoint here, and now the Nautilus dropping into mid finds the pencil on that low ground, and that is going to force Supersonic to rethink things, at least for the time being. The trades go slightly in Supersonic's favor, so they may take another shot at this, but they are still going to have to contend with that pencil consistently poking pressure at that tower. As we head nearly to that final minute of the game, this will be the first checkpoint for Supersonic.
Supersonic able to break through the assist with the crowd to build the space that they need. And the Booyah Bomb also being used as well. They're just trying to disperse. Count My Bands, but the 2 members down. This is the guaranteed lead change coming up here, and a guaranteed second checkpoint on top as the wipeout is effectively secured. Delayed one at that. And now this is just members of Count My Bands just staggering out of respawns here as multiple members are being dropped. Ka drops once more, and the Booyah Bomb going to be thrown in that direction. It's going to space out everybody else once again, and the third checkpoint is going to be dropped. And there is Hog Runner also dropping as well. 2 members have gone down all in quick succession. It's 2 members that have also dropped on the other side of the map, but I don't think the space is there for Count My BandZ to contest. And Fusion, this game suddenly went from 100 to 0 with the pacing. Supersonic won basically every fight all the way to the end, and Supersonic's up 2-1. One more, and they advance to grand finals here in the Great White Brackets.
Yeah, seemed like Supersonic just needed that one opportunity. Once they were able to find some nice picks in the bats, it felt like Count My BandZ ended up panicking just a little bit, but that is going to take them just a singular game away from those grands. And yeah, sorry.
Trying to get your breath there.
A little bit. Yeah, you know, sometimes the day just hits you and you're not ready for it.
You know, it's funny because as both teams are approaching into Scorch Gorge Clan Blitz, I'm exactly the same way. For those who are tuning in, you somehow you have to find a way to muster energy into the night. I actually don't know how most people. By the way, I'm gonna go on a small tangent here, even though we could talk about Scorch Gorge Clan Blitz. The fact that people have enough time to actually play a lot of Splatoon tonight, and I speak as a person who declares himself as old, is crazy to me, because I'm like, you guys all have all the energy. I just want to go take a nap at one point after the day is over. So no, I can kind of relate with you on that one, Fusion, for the most part. Everything just kind of hits you very quickly when it happens.
Mm-hmm. But sometimes it hits you faster than the speed of sound. And that's what we're seeing right now.
So, I guess you could say it's supersonic.
Wait, do I have the soundboard? 1 second.
Oh no! Do I dare?
Hi, Kermit the Frog here, and today's map of the day is Scorch Gorge.
What? Why is? What is the origin of that? What is the origin of that? Is this cactus?
Yes, it's cactus.
Cactus. What
I think
happened
this was
here?
I think this was Genesis 10 or Genesis X.
Oh,
God.
Cactus. I'm glad that you have brought the power.
I like
of
having
forward.
super specific soundboard effects, so everyone can be like, "Why do you have that?"
I'm even more mystified than ever now at this point. Flex Up, I'm also mystified that Flex Up has swapped away from the Lunar Blast over to the 96 Deco. So you know what? I'm gonna have to let the Kermit speak here, hold it for maybe a game or two as we roll right into this one. Again, it's gonna be match point here for Supersonic if they were to take this one home. As we look at the weapon changes, effectively the 96 Deco is the one that sticks out here. It's the one that is the Kraken available. Of course, I note that weapon they're going to drop immediately. It's actually going to be delayed 3. This could be an opportunity if they have a power clamp that they can take home with them, and it disappears in front of Burton's eyes. It is just tragedy. It requires one person to have to build 8 clams on their own, and it is just the 80 points remaining. Fusion, despite the tragic disappearance of one power clam, Supersonic still doesn't miss a beat.
Yeah, they're managing to come back producing clams. I was not quite anticipating them having getting 32 points on that board. That is going to be the end, using the that one spot that everyone says to use for Zipcaster, but it kind of just puts you in a cage and makes it really awkward to go anywhere else. Nonetheless, Spexow still applying a lot of pressure with that Splatana Stamper over on that right side, but Supersonic's reign is going to end up coming to a close here as 2 members end up going down. Ka leading the charge on that right side as Count My BandZ has some clams online, including that pity clam at the ready, but that's only if a member would be able to grab that pity clam. Uriel was able to find a pick, I believe, on that back line, which ended up tripping up Count My BandZ there. So Count My BandZ still in an opportunity or in a position to push, but they don't have nearly as much ground and as many clams as they did just a moment ago.
Ka may be the one to change things up here, but as I saw that triple splash on gets one, and this is going to be a perfect time for Count My BandZ to get a push going. Now I think they want to avoid picking up that pity clam right now. They're trying to see if they can get the clan spawn in naturally here. Does somebody have one clan to toss to Shoka? Shoka is looking for one clan to get tossed in, and they finally get one, and they will get the big clan back at spawn to get the quick lead change here. And it looks like Hog Rider is actually is gonna be swimming around a bit, actually gonna be looking for the picks first before trying to cash in on those clams. Not a bad play. They use the cooler as well to quickly jump back, and it's already quickly going the other direction here as Hog Rider not able to land the other Zuka. Zuka there. Count My Band's push is going to get stalled, but that's a nice little response there. They get the quick lead change and a whole lot more on top. It's a 2+7 push, and that leads to 39 points remaining. All that being said and done here, Fusion, Count My Band's with a nice little lead swap, but of course, there's still plenty of time left.
Yeah, they do have that lead for now. Still 2 minutes left on that clock, and I mean, we saw 95 points put on the board, like, in the blink of an eye last set. So, or that wasn't last set, that was this set, right?
It was this one. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was this set. I'm just like, oh yeah, there's 2 Clan Blitz maps in this best of 5, which is, my brain just like compartmentalized it in a weird way. Anyways, we have cool Splatoon action as that sword is going to find some nice picks. Spec doing a lot of work for Supersonic, cleaning things up. 5 clams in their pockets. Another one smoking a cigarette or something. 7 clams for now. Supersonic still hanging on. They do not have a power clam at the ready just yet, but 2 picks is going to open the door, and that Zipcaster will as well take us through it, Keon.
Yeah, you got it. The Zipcaster immediately being used as that power clan was being tossed forward as they wanted to use it right away. This allows one member to immediately pick that one up and able to catch that one in. This is going to be another power clan, the free clan back in base with the previous push, swings that to the lead, and this could be a KO imminent here as they need 3 more small clans for that victory here, but it looks like it will be cut short as one member only one alive, and they'll just have to swim back. But that is a nice little response here from Supersonic at the end. 47 seconds left to go on the clock. There is a free clam available for Count My Bands that they take advantage. I mean, the math, it's effectively 69 effective points here, so they are going to have to look for 60 plus points of worth of clams to make this one count. They do have a Kraken that's available. The Zuka is ready to go from Hog Rider, which they are able to use. They're just not able to get the picks quite yet. It's kind of all over the board there on the shots. And Fusion, 23 seconds left to go. An opportunity does arise, but they have to materialize the push. Eventually, Flexa might be the one to try to start it.
Yeah, that Kraken certainly is a good tool to get into the enemy basket, but it's a prime opportunity to attack that backline. That's exactly what happens here. Supersonic has that lead, and they just want to hold on to it at this point. Holding their ground is certainly something they have the advantage in. 3 members up on each side. It's going to be Hog Rider moving in on that right. They were not, the pencil wasn't aware that's going to be 1 pick for that splatter shot. The crab is going to end up slowing things down. There's almost no time left on the clock. Shoka needs to get to that basket or it's going to be curtains, and it seems like Supersonic has punched their ticket to finals.
Yeah, that is grand finals there from Supersonic. The slightly slow up, and that's a 3-1 there. I think that if I'm not mistaken with the set, they did lose the first game in zones, and then they picked things up in the non-zones maps here as we saw the 95 points in that one push from Supersonic. Actually, the same team that also mounted the same comeback on top of it. This is the one I was wondering about because I thought I saw an advantage there if I'm not mistaken on a few occasions there, but Shoka was being pushed around, and because there was basically no purple link really in front of them, were still forced to retreat back, and you had 2 members from Supersonic collapsing onto both ends. At this point, you just don't have enough manpower left to basically move forward there. If you're the pencil, and not enough paint that they could do to dish that one in. So that is Supersonic advancing to Grants, and we're gonna get to see Healbook, a familiar team that I'm sure some people will love to see approaching grand finals. Someone will take home the Great White Brackets in Sourcing 214. I think we're gonna be set up for a very fun matchup coming up here.
Oh, Healbook, yeah.
Yep, it's Healbook.
Oh, yeah. These guys are fun.
I love them.
Love to see them. I think a bunch of them were just at the
Don't Flounder, right? It's
Don't Flounder. Yep. I think Jovan helps run it. Is that correct?
I actually believe so because Jovan or was the one that JJ helped. Yeah, JJ. I know them as JJ for sure. Was the one that helps run Dome Flounder, and actually I think JJ was actually participating in a team that needed help, that needed somebody else to pitch in for. They needed one more member, excuse me, is what it was. So JJ was participating, not in Healbook. So I think hey, we get to see JJ in non-TO form effectively participating in Healbook. I'm sure you've been through some of those cycles before their Fusion, and I love to see Healbook in any tournament, and I love to see them here, especially in Summer Sync.
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen all of them play in a hot minute, so this should be a lot of fun to watch. I especially love watching Len play. I'm not sure what Len's playing these days in terms of like weapons, but great blaster player, super cool person, and great artist. Just the whole team's full of like very nice, great players. So we'll see how they stack up against Supersonic here.
And you know what's fun to see any variation of Healbook, which I think is effectively a variation of Free Flow, which is also another variation of Go on top of it. I just love to see members of Free Flow, which I think when you recap 2025, especially, they were very much a very improved team as a whole. Free Flow that specifically. So, but any iteration that includes Len and a sub is always sub here, and and you'll see them go to Healbook or Go on top of it, but. Healbook making their appearance here in this weekly edition, which, to what I'm told, the Healbook has only dropped one game this whole tourney, so they may be looking to keep just that one loss in their record here, coming into the end. That was a 2-0 reload, 3-0 presentation, so that's the results that they got going in this one. I mean, Fusion. I just want to see these guys go head to head, see what happens. I'm sure Healbook would just want to put a wrap to this bracket here and see if they can just run this one home.
Yeah, I mean, I think both these teams have that on their minds, but Healbook's certainly in a great position to do so. These are indeed the 1 and 2 seeds in this top cut, so we are in for a match. We've got Zones on Barnacle as our first match this time, which we've seen different variants of a lot of these stages, but yeah. Sorry.
Is it all sinking in right now? The brain fog attacks?
The brain fog attacks like at just the wrong moment.
I think, to be fair though, Fusion, especially with grand finals here, it's like what for the East Coast time, because I always make too much note of this, especially in this block. For the East Coasters, it's 10:30. It's close to 10:30 p.m. I know for the Midwesterners, also known as the Central Time Zone, it's like 9:30. I don't know how I'm somehow still sharp despite the fact that it's been a long day today, to say the least here, Fusion, and I can still relate with you. I'll try, but I'm sure both teams will want to try to get this one home, and then they eventually just go hit the snooze button eventually here, get some much needed rest. Okay, we are seeing variation of map changes happening across the screen. Everything is just blinking around. We'll figure out the actual map list here. We'll play Who's Line when we get to there. We'll play Who's Line when we get there, Fusion.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I'm sorry.
We will play Who's Line. We'll play scenes from a hat for figuring out which maps actually show up here in this one. And we finally fixed the machine here. There we go. Mahi Resort Zones. Don't worry. The map machine is also having some brain fog. It's joining you with it, Fusion. So at least something can relate today, if anything. But yeah, Mahi Zones is the lead off here for grand finals coming up here. And hey, both teams are ready to jam. It's gonna be Healbook on the Bravo side, and the Alpha side is, of course, Supersonic. We take a look at the weapons here. Euros, by the way, gonna be the one dishing out the S-Blast for the first time, I think, all day. And great, by the way, the other player showing up here with Prosper. Great dishing out the Middle Mini. And I should not be surprised to see Adept on that Luna Blaster. I have known Adept for some time. Adept is a solid blaster player as well. So want to see how both teams open up this particular map here, as both teams vying for the zone, and Supersonic is about to start this one off on the right foot.
Yeah, they certainly are. Oh my goodness. Just wiping the floor with Healbook. They were absolutely not prepared for the sword over on that left side on that slick. Excellent stuff from Spec. And that is going to create a huge opening at the start. Oh my god. At the start for Supersonic, but Hammer is going to answer that back and prevent this situation from turning from a bad one to a worse one. That is going to be Healbook. A lot of pressure on that zone. Still no cap just yet, but 4 members up close to the zone. All that pain is inevitably going to flip it in their favor, but not able to win the fight. So Supersonic still in control.
Supersonic is still in firm control there, and I literally just had a scene before my very eyes. It is a double ultra stamp setup here, but this time it's gonna be Joven there basically with the ink brush one for the ultra stamp, and the depth's the one that holds it. Actually, I take that back. I think that's 3 ultra stamps actually from Healbook. I had to think. I was not kidding.
I think you're right.
I knew it wasn't a double ultra stamp. No, we're triple ultra stamp setups. You're gonna be seeing flying hammers across this junction of the game. And I think I just counted 2 hammer tosses in the past 20 seconds. Sorry, that distracted me for a bit here because Healbook is about to get some control back. The pick onto the splash is gonna help matters. The trade is still gonna work out for Healbook as they will get the lead here. But this will be a zone split going the other direction here if the pick from Uriel against Adapt lands, and it's just gonna be a trade at the end. Healbook retains control of the zone, and Fusion 40 points and still counting down. Healbook still is trying to see if they can run this one home.
Yeah, Healbook is going to take that timer below 30. I can't believe that the brush managed to get out alive. Like, that sword hitbox on the on the just normal swing is so wide. Getting out alive is crazy. Healbook 10 ticks left of the timer left. They are going to paint that zone, but all the specials as Supersonic storms back in is going to shift the tides. That is going to be Supersonic recapturing that zone with the help of Rio on that pencil, but stepping into close range against that triple ultra stamp is the worst mistake you can make there, as Healbook manages to catch unsuspecting prey with that hammer. Adapt cleaning up on that right side, and Healbook is back in control yet again. It's a 2v1 situation, but with Healbook in charge of that zone, those jumps are going to work to their benefit.
And right now, Supersonic still trying to recapture some of that opening game magic that they got earlier, where they took that one close to the halfway marker. But Healbook has a much better response of their own right now. There is one ultra stamp that is available, and it's going to be thrown to the other side. It actually forces the crab out. They're going to be out of the penalty point series. There going to be any pressure as JJ runs right into Specs' slash, but there are 2 members that have dropped. This is going to be an ultra stamp that is being used there. There is basically all the members that have dropped effectively one by one, excuse me. And Healbook, despite the slow start and Supersonic's very great start to begin the game, Healbook was able to wrestle that one back home, and that is now 1-0 up for Healbook. And I have to say, Fusion, the sightings of what I thought was 2 ultra stamps and then being completely fooled by a 3rd ultra stamp suddenly appearing in the wings has suddenly threw me off guard there in that particular game, but it definitely showed its power.
Yeah, it certainly did. Yeah, no, like, imagine being a crab in that situation. That's kind of rough. That's rough, buddy. Yeah, just the crab shot in like 2 swings from a brush was enough to break it there. Yeah, Supersonic could not get anywhere close. I mean, certainly Healbook had a hard time getting back into that zone. Supersonic was taking full advantage of like the lack of really displacement specials, but once Healbook got in, they did not get out. They were just consistently applying pressure and taking those picks whenever Supersonic attempted to make their way back in.
And now we cue into map number 2 being Hegelfish Market Target Troll, which I wonder if the theme here from Healbook is we're gonna just dish out every ultra stamp playbook, or every play that involves ultra stamps across the board. We're just gonna get Prosper. We're gonna put you in pencil duty, by the way, but we're gonna have a little bit of fun with 3 ultra stamps here. I would love to see 3 ultra stamps. I would also understand that they're not gonna dish it out here in this game, and I think Supersonic probably expecting to run a very similar comp that wanted in Mahi. To load into Mahi zones, excuse me, probably wasn't ready for that 3 ultra stamps. And I think now they got that registered in their system, maybe game 2 is like, how do we outsmart 3 ultra stamps? Do we dish out an ultra stamp of their own if we can use it? Or do we just say, okay, we just gotta deal with them later? I think that's what Supersonic has to deal with it. Yes. So maybe they gotta break down the Ultra Stamps here somehow. Fusion. Maybe they'll dish it out. Maybe Healbook starts gonna throw me off guard and they'll just run a different comp for all I know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they've been very comfortable sticking with their guns here. A little bit of a change up. Now we're down to only 2 Ultra Stamps at this point, and a bubble instead. I can see the purpose of that as adapt with that bubble could help the team move forward. Instead, I think Supersonic, you just kind of have to make sure that they don't end up getting locked out or. I think they're just going to have to make sure they didn't get locked out. My brain is like ceased functioning.
I will cover for you while your brain plays. I will help you out here while the brain plays catch up here, because I did see that Ultra Stamp being tossed into the mixer. By the way, with the huge shout outs there, mainly using the Ultra Stamp just runs right into a few members there across the board, and I think with the change here with Spec going over to the Sticker Stampers with the Buoy Bomb, I think I can see what you're trying to go with that direction. Maybe not with this map being as wide open as it is. No real good opportunity to use the Zipcaster. Looking to see if they can pressure with Buoy Bombs right now. But I think Supersonics are just completely thrown off guard, as there is a series of players menacingly looking at Supersonic. That Ultra Stamp, if I'm not mistaken, takes out 2. Who was the one that held the Ultra Stamp there? I gotta give you props. I think that was Joven on top of it. The second checkpoint's been cleared. And Fusion, I think Healbook has understood that 2 Ultra Stamps can still do its job.
Yeah, seems like that is the case. They're hoping to clean up and take this match here. All 3 of them on Healbook grouped onto that tower, looking to clean things up. There's pressure coming from multiple angles with the Ultra Stamp. Jovan just running and dodging and dipping. Oh my goodness, Healbook is going to manage to just sneak that tower to the goal. Healbook now just a single game away from winning the tournament.
You know what? So a little story time here, Fusion. So I did low ink this past weekend here with my good buddy DRF. There was a team whose main identity for the first half of the tournament was double Ultra Stamps, effectively. And I think when I saw Healbook dish out the 3 and now the 2, I'm like, oh my goodness, all the core memories from a handful of days ago are coming back to me. Healbook just looked incredibly coordinated with those Ultra Stamps. By the way, Joe and I believe getting the double from distance, it really helped the cause. And I think, Supersonic, what on earth could you do here in this situation? You're in the reverse sweep situation just to see if you can keep the grand final set going. But ultimately, Fusion, I get for Supersonic's focus is, how do we deal with maybe 2 Ultra Stamps, maybe more than that, from the mini and the brush that Joven's playing? I feel like Supersonic will now have to try to figure out how to solve that puzzle.
1 sec.
The brain fog has consumed you, I think. You're slowly being
that was just a big yawn. But Clamblet Umami, definitely. If you were having trouble with Ultra Stamps before, it's not going to get any better here. Really, really good opportunity to push up to the basket with that Ultra Stamp. It's such a narrow little path. Blocks a lot of the shots as well. I think that Supersonic, they need something with range and with bullets, you know? I think that they're just having a hard time getting rid of, how do they stop an Ultra Stamp that's just running at them? I think, a pencil and a sword are going to have a very hard time.
I think this could be a matter of, oh no, the Ultra Stamp has basically gotten us, and we just have to figure out how to deal with it. I think you might be right. This could just be a game where you just have to be able to continuously fire at that Ultra Stamp. The Ultra Stamp, for as silly as its hitbox can be, Fusion, as you can probably test from many patches of recent times, you can still pretty much fire at it and still try to get picks that way, or catch them in a completely different angle. But I think the only answer here is that Uriel's gonna be the one that switches over to the 52. Okay, JJ or Jovan is gonna be the one on Kraken duty this time. Adapt basically probably played rock paper scissors with Jovan here to see if who could be the second Ultra Stamp to this setup. And I think Adapt won in that rock paper scissors battle. So JJ switches over to the Kraken Splat Roller, excuse me. And I'm curious to see how this works, because here, as Jovan's going to be the one that I think got a few picks, to say the least, but both members dropping 2, and Fusion in the tail is oldest time here in Clam Blitz. Both teams are gathering clams.
Yep, that's the name of the game. They're rushing for those clams here. As Adapt doing a great job guarding the middle, but a little bit of a fake out from Bird on the side of Supersonic. It's going to allow them to hold that ground in mid, and you know, that little jump from the block to the dome is huge. Uriel with that 52 gal. A little bit of Kraken taming up there, able to dodge that Kraken, but turning their back on the enemy team, not gonna fly for too much longer. So Supersonic is going to end up Healbook's going to end up coming back towards the middle of the map, but Supersonic still maintaining a fair amount of pressure here. That Ultra Stamp, again, I'm going to force Supersonic back as the tides are turning. Healbook has a lot of space. It's just that singular member of Supersonic who got the power claim in. So they're going to have the first score, but end up putting a pity online for Healbook.
It is a one and done push for Supersonic, but at least that has to feel pretty decent after the way the Ultra Stamp games have gone. So now they just have to look for it to see if there is a nice little counter there. I think, though, fights happening across the board. Jovan got one, and then the 2 members also folded on the other direction, and it does lead to 1 power clam plus 3 being cashed in. There is at least a nice little defensive stand here from Supersonic. Their Prosper is going to be the one that spawns a power clam of their own, and they're just going to have to hold on to this one, use it for another push down the line. So for how bad that went for Supersonic will at least feel decent here, that it only amounted to just a 9-point deficit, to say the least. So they can still buy themselves some time, but even 1 power clam is enough for a lead here if they're able to build on top of it. But right now for Supersonic, they are just having to see if they can solve the continuous riddle of a very skirmishy Healbook team that Adapt just found 1 member on top of. So Healbook is still trying to keep this pressure going here. Fusion, 2 minutes and 27 seconds left to go, and Supersonic's just trying to save off anything that Healbook's trying to dish out at him.
Yeah, again, a very neutral game. Spec's been kind of maintaining pressure on that left side throughout the entirety of this game. Ends up going in with that Zipcaster. Not too much of vertical distance, unfortunately, not able to find anything with the Zipcaster. Ends up recalling. Now it's a 3v3 situation in the middle of the map, but that cooler is going to be a second wind for Supersonic here as they try and defend themselves. But that roller getting up to top mid is going to make things very difficult as Jovan finds a single pick, looking for more. The Kraken's going to come out, and there's actually, I think, a push going on. Yep, Healbook manages to get to the enemy basket. Power Clam goes down in the backfield, but Healbook is going to extend their lead even further. Here comes that jump. That's not close enough to get... Oh, it is close enough to get it in. So Healbook is going to get a bunch of extra points on that board, and now the pressure is on for Supersonic with just a minute left in this game.
I mean, for Supersonic, other than this 1 push here, they might be able to sneak in the second power clam that does cut the deficit by a lot, and they keep the free claim back at base here, which I was about to pose the question, and what was the question for everybody else was, how does Supersonic even wrestle this one back with the way Healbook's been skirmishing across the board? The answer was get 1 push and able to sneak through that one and sneak the second power claim in. It actually puts them in a very manageable deficit here. Fusion, 1 power claim, even and add a small clam on top, and that is a lead change, or excuse me, 2 power clams would be enough for the lead change, excuse me. So they could buy themselves some time here if they can make this one count. But Jovan's going to try to make sure that they can look for the tournament winning play here as Jovan's moving up forward. They only get the trade, I believe, from that side of the map. Adapt is also getting caught out, so there is a chance here, Fusion, for Supersonic to try to wrestle this one back. They got 2 power clams. They got enough for the tie, but they got to make this push count here with 20 seconds left to go on the clock.
Yeah, Spec with the Zipcaster ends up going down in the process. I don't think they had that cooler online either, and that's huge for Healbook for hanging on to this. Now it's going to be the 52 on that left side. Burt with the crab on top mid trying to create some space, but if they use it up here, how are they going to get to that basket? They managed to gain back some ground. They have enough power clams, but how do they get closer? The Luna Blasters guarding that middle of the map. They find a clean pick onto them. We are deep in overtime. The Zipcaster is going to charge on that left side. The power clam at the ready, looking for a path to the basket. They find a path. Prosper finds one. The second one. Rio gets 2 clams in, but there's no extra clam. It's a pencil 1v1 under the basket. They're looking for it. They can't find it. It's going to be a wipeout, and Healbook hangs on and wins.
That is the most nerve-wracking finish I think I've ever seen in a long time, and that is how Healbook wins the tournament there. I'm sure they did not want to necessarily sweat that one out in Game 3 of all things here. So they came out clutch at the end. We gotta give them props to Healbook. I think thank you here. If we have the replay here, I think they think the slight little bit of misstep. If we don't get the replay, this will be tragedy, I think. But either way, that was so huge. There we go. We got the replay. So this is I'll help you out here, Fusion. One member goes down, and then the second one goes in. It's Prosper. Prosper was the only one that is there, able to distract Rio just in the nick of time. There's a trade on Uriel, which it buys the rest of Healbook enough time to collapse onto Supersonic in the final push of that game. And I know people are like, where the 2 clams are right there. The 2 clams are right there on the other side of the map. But Rio probably did not have the vantage points. They were just right behind the block. It was a blind spot for Rio the entire way through. And with Healbook causing extra amounts of chaos, that is one way, Fusion, for Healbook to hold up the tournament. But I'm sure they, as mentioned before, they probably did not want to say sweat it out at the end.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, first off, Spec found 2 with the Zipcaster. Rio made a nice play picking up both power clams and tossing them in. But really, really, really smart play from Prosper in particular. You saw Prosper completely ignore the pencil on the side of Supersonic, because if that 52 gets down and drops a wall, there's going to be a clam that makes its way to the basket. Camping that jump with the sprinkler, completely ignoring the pencil, was so smart, and ends up netting Healbook the win there. That was such a funny ending.
That's probably, I'm marking that down as one of the best and funniest endings at the end, and I'm sure, and probably a story probably worth telling for a few folks who loves to pay attention to the weeklies. But Healbook only dropping one game all tournament, it wins Swimmer State 214, the Great White Dragons. Congratulations to them, and I know I gotta give Supersonic their props though as well. They had a great start against Healbook in that game. One almost kept the set going there in Game 3. There just no serendipity was found there. No clam could ever be found anywhere near them, and it was just an unfortunate setup. But they were able to at least keep it toe-to-toe there with Healbook. But Healbook are winners here for Swimmer State 214, and Fusion, that was honestly a very funny way to cap off Swimmer State 214. And we probably want to get ourselves out of here, and I should probably get some dinner at some point too. So Fusion, well, before we sign off, dude, where can the people find you?
Find me at Sea Battle on January 31st, which I think should be on. Is it on? No, I think it'll be on like Splatoon 32. I think there is a LAN championship showdown event on that day. But where can they find you, Keon?
You can find me probably confused, probably hearing the noise of why have you not ate dinner yet? I just got back from the gym and groceries and hopped in the mic.
Look at you.
That self-care is important in this day and age, folks, even at the face of everything. By the way, find me on Keon2570 Blue Sky and on Twitch. Shout out to Pipe Dream, our producer, who took you guys through from the start and the end. Shout out to Carney and Saucy for Block 1. And by the way, special shout outs to Saf. Hope you're doing all right over there on the other side. Let's get the heck out of here, Fusion. We're gonna wrap this one up with my co-com partner Fusion and our producer Pipe Dream. I'm Keon saying, have yourselves a fantastic rest of your week. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks from now for another edition of Swimmer Sync. We'll see you guys next time.
Good night.